The earlier program did not offer enough courses to meet state certification standards for school librarians. It was common practice for students to go elsewhere for a summer, for a session, to meet certification standards and or to begin work on another degree. And in most institutions at that time, that was either the AD or the BS in library science. Well, I did just that after graduation. I worked in 2 school libraries in Florida and attended the universities of Virginia, North Carolina, and Columbia University in the summers to meet certification requirements and to begin graduate study. That first summer at the University of Virginia, 3 of my 4 classmates at FSCW joined me there, and we just felt right at home as we moved in and took over the class. And by the way, our teacher that summer was Miss Mary Gaver. And Miss Gaver, that you spoke of just a few minutes ago. Is that better?
Better.
Miss Mary Gaver was a school librarian in Danville, Virginia, and it was her first time teaching, and we really gave her a hard time. We later became good friends, and I was embarrassed about the way we had treated her at Virginia. In 1941, I was in summer school at Columbia when I received a telegram from Dean R.L. Iman of the College of Education at Florida State College for Women. He offered me a job, sight unseen, as librarian at the demonstration school on the campus. I didn't know him. I had a degree in arts and sciences, so I had never crossed his path. But the salary was considerably more than I was getting. And I had loved my experience as a student at FSCW, so I quickly wired yes to his offer. I was never interviewed, and I never applied for the job, but my future was fixed. I once talked to Dr. Iman about this, and I said, they tell me that you are a real stickler in interviewing, that you always ask candidates for positions here if they drink or if they smoke. And if so, if they're women, they're just through. That's the end of the interview. And I said, you never have asked me that even after I got here, and I'd like to know why. And he said, well, he said, I took one look at you, and I decided I'd better not ask those questions because we were desperate for a librarian. And you see, there were not many librarians around in those days, and nobody was producing any, and so you really were kind of home free. When I arrived in the fall of 1941, at the ripe old age of 25, I found this a place just right for me. Exciting things were going on, and there was an atmosphere conducive to change. There were increasingly opportunities to learn for me, and I needed and profited from all of them because I had a lot to learn. What I remember most is that many fine adults with whom I worked took me seriously, and they stimulated me to experiment and to learn. That's probably the most helpful thing older people can do for young people, is to take them seriously. And I came to appreciate all my opportunities. Now that year 1941 was an amazing year. If you put this in context, that same fall, 1941, Dr. Doak Sheridan Campbell came to FSCW as its president. He succeeded Dr. Edward Conradi. I'm one of the living people who has worked with every president of this university except the first one, Dr. Murphy. And there are just 2 or 3 of us alive who have done that. Dr. Campbell came from George Peabody College in Nashville, Tennessee, where he had been the graduate dean. This is significant because at Peabody he had helped to administer the library school. He had known the dean there, Louis Shores, and he was already indoctrinated as to the significant role of libraries in education. At this same time, Dr. Colin English was state superintendent of schools. Now, he was no ordinary superintendent. He was a Phi Beta Kappa graduate of Emory University and of Columbia. He was also an expert politician. He envisioned a better system of schools and colleges for Florida. He gathered about him a core of experts on his staff, most of those from the colleges and universities in the state. And he would bring them in either permanently on his staff or he would take them a little bit at the time, however he could get them. So a lot of us were down there on leave from either the University of Florida or from Florida State College for Women. He led them in defining and establishing a minimum foundation program to ensure quality education for the citizens of Florida. And the formulas mathematically that were developed for the support of education in that program later became a real help in the public library programs in this country in defining some measures of support. One of his colleagues was a remarkable lady, Mrs. Dora Sykes Skipper. Some of you in this room remember her. She had worked with Dr. English in Fort Myers, and then she had come here and joined the faculty at Florida State College for Women. She was a specialist in elementary education and in reading. She believed that school libraries were essential in good schools. And she believed that even before I ever saw her, before I ever had a chance to talk to her about it. This was significant at a time when there was only one elementary school library in Florida. And that one was at Miss Katie Dean School. I don't know the name of the school. She was the principal, and we spoke of it reverently as the Miss Katie Dean School in Miami Beach. Well, Mrs. Skipper was in and out of the demonstration school library, and she involved me fast in doing a whole lot of things to help her. But she liked what she saw. She enlisted me to help them in the State Department of Education as the minimum education program was developed. This was a great boon for us in libraries because it gave me an insider's chance to get some things in that program that we would hope would be there. I finally wrote the chapters in the final document that were related to library services and instructional materials. Dr. English arranged with Dr. Campbell for me to have several leaves of absence to become state library consultant as the program evolved. On a number of occasions, I tried to resign at the college, and Dr. Campbell never would want me to resign. He said, "Oh no, you stay on leave, and we'll take you back anytime you want to come." He said, "I like having you down there because then I can call you and find out what's going on." And a lot was going on, so he needed to keep up with what was going on. Well, Mrs. Skipper joined the State Department of Education as director of the new program of county or district school supervision. With her leadership, we developed the district media centers and library supervisory services that became the backbone of our school library program in Florida. 1941 was a significant year additionally because some of you will remember that on December the 7th, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. In the war years that followed, many of the men on the college faculty went off to war. I became involved in many in-service education experiences in the state and on our campus to a degree that would not have been possible had the men been home. There was that much prejudice toward women. And I was invited to do a number of things that I would never have been invited to do under normal circumstances. But this gave us ample opportunity to get libraries involved and to educate a lot of people in different kinds of situations as to the need for librarians.